Hello, this is Greg Allison Green Greg's coming to you on the 4th day of November 21. Time on deck is 1900 hours Central Daylight Time. And I have a special guest with us tonight. Our special guest is Doug Thompson. Now, many of you may know Doug Thompson, or at least have seen him in my chat room here quite often on this channel, my Swivelhead friends. And he's a real patriot. He's got his own channel, and he's premiering a video right now on that channel. But he's agreed to come on here and actually let us view it live in my session. And what we're going to do is look at this video. This video, Doug, tell us about this video. What is it?
Well, this is Greg. Thanks for having me on first and foremost. But this video basically covers the biggest story in America that no one is talking about. Our infrastructure has been sabotaged by international terrorists under the guise of environmentalism. And in this documentary, I show you, and I basically connect the dots, and I tell you the missing pieces that the media has failed to fill in, has kept hidden from the American public. So thank you very much for allowing me to come on your show and discuss this, because this is a very important topic that nobody is covering right now.
Very good. Well, you have your own YouTube channel, and you've also on BitChute and on Rumble and on Brighteon. You're like nationwide. You're everywhere. You're like ubiquitous.
Yeah. I am all over the place, but definitely don't have a big following, so I appreciate you helping me out.
Yeah, I hope we can help you with that. So everybody, we'll be sharing his link to his YouTube channel. Hopefully you can find the rest of them there. We'll be doing that later in the video here. Again, he's Doug Thomas, and Thompson. His video channel, Thompson, pardon me, yep. Doug Thompson. I might be a Doubting Thomas. Maybe that's my problem.
That's all right.
Doubting Thomas, Doug Thompson. Hey, let's just alliterates. That's part of my poetic style. So Doug has a channel called Uncommon News on YouTube. It's Uncommon-News. So we're here to talk about this. What is going on with all these energy crises and shortages and price hikes? And it seems to be taking our country down. And is there something kind of motivating us all along? Does it serve some greater or lesser, I might add, purpose, something that we don't really care for, to take us in the direction that are we being herded? Might be a better way to put it. We gotta be extremely careful how we say these things, because we don't want to get eliminated here. But there's a lot of big questions here about what's going on. So a lot of good people in the chat room. I will be talking to the chat room, both in texting and so forth. But we're going to play this video, and we may stop it from time to time to talk to it. But if you not subscribe to my channel, please subscribe, bang the update notification bell, and click all, because I bring all kind of videos about things you need to know to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel for what's coming at us. I also do videos on gardening and on eating wild edibles, from the wild, from the weeds and the trees. These are things you need to know to survive in the tough times coming to us. And with this kind of stuff coming at us right now, times are not going to get any better, my friends. We're in for a roller coaster ride. Now, I think in the end, we win, but along the way, it's going to get rough. And that's what it looks like. So one of the best things you can do is prepare. Be ready to feed yourself and your family. And for that, we got a special. We got $200, we got $100 off of a 3-month supply of food that lasts 25 years. You can get this stuff, and it comes in 6 buckets. 2 buckets is 1 month supply. You can also buy a month supply. Oh yeah, this isn't one of those buckets. Whoa, you can see it's lightweight. This is actually one of the meat high protein buckets. So I said, it's all starchy. Well, no, you can go to prepwithgreg.com, and you can go and click on the My Page, it's my logo, and you can get all kinds of stuff. You can get vegan. You can get this is your low carb. There's all kind of options. You get gluten-free, and this is lightweight stuff, guys, because that makes it easy to bug out with. It's 88 servings in this particular package. Now the other stuff gives you 2,000 calories a day, and the regular deal that's that you'll find on my site. So I won't go into any further. Just go to prepwithgreg.com, check that out. I think they're awesome deals, because that stuff you can hide in caches. It's easy to carry when you bug out. That's the advantages of that. It's easier to deal with in glass jars. But by all means, if you got a garden, can stuff in glass jars. So do that too. And go to the big box stores, all that stuff. You need to prep right now, especially when you hear what you're about to hear. So with that, Doug, you ready to start this video? You want to just start it up?
Yeah, however you want to do it. I can, either talk about it first, or we can just start watching it on one of the, you can watch it on YouTube or BitChute or.
Oh, I got it dialed up here to play on YouTube. Is there anything you want to say about it before I go over to the share button?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna give a shout out to a couple people: Jesse Mills and Elton Butterfield, and Thistledown, Melanie Lyons, the Watchman, Dr. G-Man's Place. So he's got the Space Force logo like I got here. All righty, enough said for all that. Let's do this. We're just going to go straight into the video. So I got to hit the share button, and we will go off to see the video, the wonderful video of Not Oz. Yeah, well, I got to have a warped sense of humor here, guys. Now I'm going to play this at 1.5 times the speed, if you don't mind that. If you want me to slow it down, I will. But it's pretty legible when you play it at that speed. So here we go, guys. Buckle up, get your popcorn. We're going to watch a video. But we're allowed to do it because we got the creator with us. So I hope I don't get a copyright strike since the channel creator of the video is with us here. All right, here we go.
On January 12th, 2021, Biden assumed office. The Marxist assault.
President Biden's first order of business on his first day on the job was to immediately reverse some of his predecessors' key policies and agendas.
Some of the things we're going to be doing are bold and right, and it's really time to start right today.
With a stroke of several pens, the incoming president then signed more than a dozen other executive orders, the most a president has ever done on his first day. The president also revoked plans for a Keystone XL oil pipeline. Some argue nixing the Keystone Pipeline project and rejoining the Paris Treaty will hurt American workers and further weaken an economy already reeling from COVID.
The reality is regulations that are promulgated on the energy industry are going to increase those prices, which are going to have dramatic ripple effects throughout the economy, disproportionately impacting the lowest income families in America.
President Biden's going to issue more executive orders today. Edward Lawrence with us now. He's reportedly looking to halt oil and gas leasing and drilling on federal land. Accurate?
Exactly. And right now there's a moratorium for 60 days. And sources in the oil and gas industry tell me that as early as tomorrow, the Biden administration will extend that ban on new leases for drilling and fracking on federal lands and waterways for 1 year.
Hey, one other thing that Biden did, he signed an executive order right off the bat. I don't know if it was his first day or sixth day. I have to go back and look. He signed an executive order right off the bat that rescinded the executive order by Trump to keep us prohibiting the inclusion of Chinese components in critical power grid systems. And that's most unfortunate since a lot of those critical components have been evaluated. And it seems that some of them contain cell phone technology that can phone home and alert the Chinese of what these power grid components are doing, or allow them to take control of and maybe bring down the power grid. This is a horrible thing. It should not be in our power grid. And we had the order to take it out, and now it's back in. Thank you, President Sniffy. Anyway, let's get back to it here. You know, sometimes I think it's good just to interrupt the video to talk some. So here we go.
Now, that includes offshore drilling. Members of the Independent Petroleum Association worry that specifically in New Mexico, this will crush the industry there and could threaten the energy independence of the United States.
Just yesterday, New York City pension funds announced that we'll be divesting $4 billion from fossil fuels, $4 billion. And that comes from two very large elements of our pension system, the New York City employees retirement system and the New York City teachers retirement system.
Ned Price, the spokesman for the U.S. State Department, has revealed that some 18 companies, European companies, have decided to pull out of Nord Stream 2 amid U.S. pressure. And when I say pressure, I mean sanctions. So far, the United States have been sanctioning the Russians, while the EU firms have remained sort of in the clear. But that's only so far. This constant threat of sanctions coming from Washington, well, it has always been and is still hanging over European firms. So, well, 18 of them have decided that better safe than sorry, and, well, they decided to cut ties with the project. Now, when it comes to Russia, Moscow has always been saying that the Nord that Nord Stream 2 has nothing to do with the United States, that it is strictly a matter of relations between Russia and Europe and Germany in particular, because, well, that's where the pipeline is going. And all these efforts that the US has been taking, Russia views it as, well, geopolitical warfare.
ERCOT's failures during last month's deadly winter blast are now headed to court. CPS Energy today filed a lawsuit against the organization that manages the state's electric grid, claiming it forced utility companies like CPS to erroneously pay sky-high prices during the storm, even after there was no longer an energy shortage. Dylan Collier has more as the finger-pointing continues.
And this chart shows the price of natural gas on the spot market, a place you do not want to be as a buyer the week of February 15th. CPS buying gas here has led to natural gas bill alone of just under $700 million for the utility.
Thank you all for joining us today.
Mayor Ron Nirenberg said the city of San Antonio stands firmly behind its utility company, which today accused ERCOT of breach of contract, negligence, and violating the state's constitution. Nirenberg calling the massive electric bills facing power companies and their customers in the face one of the largest illegal transfers of wealth in the history of Texas.
The injustice of imposing an erroneous, excessive, and unlawful cost on San Antonians who suffered during the storm cannot be allowed.
CPS President and CEO Paula Gold Williams today said the utility's bill for natural gas alone during the storm has reduced significantly to under $700 million after $140 million worth of gas purchased by CPS was never delivered. CPS hopes the suit against ERCOT, in part, will keep the utility from having to pay any overages racked up during the storm, an effort to protect its customers down the line.
They went through a reliability crisis, unlike anything that we've seen before.
And ERCOT has already acknowledged that $16 billion of this $20 billion energy bill was an error, and that power companies were forced to pay the maximum price for energy even after scarcity had evaporated. An ERCOT spokesperson today declined to comment on the CPS lawsuit. Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
The state's largest electric co-op is taking a financial hit.
It's declaring bankruptcy after it says it got a huge bill from ERCOT. Here's KVU's Bob Buckaloo.
Brazos Electric Power Cooperative in Waco is the oldest and largest power co-op in Texas. And after it got hit with an electricity bill from ERCOT for over $2 billion, Brazos filed for bankruptcy protection Monday. The co-op said in a statement that bankruptcy was necessary to protect its member co-ops and their more than 1.5 million retail members from unaffordable electric bills as we continue to provide electric service. Electric energy prices skyrocketed during February's winter storms, and Brazos said in court documents that the company had been on solid financial shape beforehand. The Public Utility Commission set the price for wholesale electricity at the maximum, $9,000 per megawatt hour, and that price stayed there for more than 4 straight days. Brazos said in its court filing, the consequences of these prices were devastating. Brazos Electric is a wholesale energy provider, serving communities from north of Houston to Lubbock, including the electric co-op in Bartlett, a portion of which is in Williamson County. Some energy experts predict that other Texas electric utilities also may be forced to declare bankruptcy, possibly setting the stage for the state to have to bail them out. Bob Buckaloo, KVU News.
ERCOT's malice toward private energy and natural gas was on full display during Winter Storm Uri. While the storm raged, ERCOT placed a commercial blockade, which is an act of war, on essential resources, causing undue stress and suffering to millions of innocent Texans. They charged full price for natural gas while shortages did not exist, causing energy providers to go bankrupt. Was this all just a terrible mistake, or perhaps an attempt to sabotage private energy and natural gas in the state of Texas? Sally Tallberg was the board chair of ERCOT during Winter Storm Uri. Prior to her placement at ERCOT, she served as a senior consultant to public sector consultants, where she co-led the development of Michigan Saves, a bank whose mission is to replace natural gas and oil with soap.
Hang on, somebody's telling me to check the playback speed, so I just want to say I'm playing it at 1.5 times speed on purpose, just to kind of get through it. And it's also, I think it kind of, well, I got other reasons too, but if somebody's got a problem with that, if they're having a hard time understanding it, say so in the chat room. Just let me know. If you'd rather me slow it down, I will.
So-called green energy. Needless to say, Ms. Tallberg has extensive ties with many parties vested in the eradication and replacement of natural gas. At what cost to public safety are these market manipulators willing to jeopardize in order to profit from their investments?
Saudi Arabia is promising to take all necessary measures to protect itself after Yemen's Houthi rebels launched another attack on its energy facilities. The Saudi government has confirmed the Aramco oil plant in Tehran was targeted by a ballistic missile earlier.
Can you press pause for a second?
One of the world's largest oil shipping ports.
Greg.
Recent months, Houthi forces have displayed their new ability.
Yes.
If anybody in the audience doesn't know, Saudi Arabia is the largest oil producer in the world. They produce 30% of the world's natural gas and oil. Okay, so this story is extremely important. Now, the Houthi rebels prior to 2021 have not possessed precision guided missiles. Okay, all of a sudden, just recently, right before the sale of a 49% stake in Aramco, all of a sudden the Houthi rebels somehow acquired precision guided missiles. So what I lead up to here is the possibility that the Houthis were given these precision guided missiles to basically use as leverage against Aramco. All right, because after this happened, Aramco sold 49% stake in their company, which is totally unnecessary for a price that is totally too low for a 49% stake in the world's largest oil company. Okay, they sold 49% to basically a bunch of ESG activists, which is EIG. EIG bought half of Saudi Aramco for like pennies. It shouldn't have been, the price they bought it for is a lot less than what it's worth. So go ahead. And so what I'm saying is this was most likely, or it very well could have been leverage against Aramco. So
okay, well, you bring up a lot of good things here. Now it's also known that the Houthi rebels are kind of a client or a state of Iran, and this was kind of a proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Precisely.
Now, supposedly, just recently, Saudi Arabia and Iran has come to some terms of peace. Although I see some other articles that seem to suggest that is still being tested. But
Saudi Arabia is totally surrounded right now. If the Taliban want to launch sorties in the Straits of Hormuz, they can do it. They've got A-29 Super Tucanos now that have a long enough range to go all the way out to the Straits of Hormuz and back to Afghanistan. They have Mi-17s now that can go all the way out there, land on boats, and basically they can send boarding parties or kamikaze attacks. And that's all thanks to Biden's withdrawal.
And that's covered in your video here. But the definition.
Yeah,
you use this term, and it's used quite often in this video, and it's not well defined. ESG. You're going to see this term in this video a lot, and it's important to consider. This is something that our good dear friend Klaus Schwab often talks about. I say good dear friend with a wink, if you know what I mean.
Right. This is basically the modern day version of Greenpeace activists, the terrorists. Instead of hijacking boats now, they're hijacking companies, and they're forcing these companies to spend their time and their money on these types of projects, which ultimately relates to increased prices for services and products for the little guy. And the only person that it hurts are poor people. Middle class are going to take a hit from this, but the upper class, at the end of the day, they're going to be able to take the blow, but the little guy, people who are poor, who are already hurting, this is going to make it even worse. This is the kind of thing that's going to cause people to either have to make the decision of being able to pay rent, or being able to buy diapers for their baby, or buy milk for their baby. And they're gonna, you're gonna start, because of this kind of stuff right here, you're gonna start to see more people living in vans and homeless shelters and all that stuff. Things are, the gas price increase, this is a direct result from this right here. It's all thanks to the people at Davos. You can thank them for that. They are economic market manipulators, and it's just precisely what it is. So didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. Let me come at it from a different angle though too. So what this says is that a company's business is something other than business. Companies are organizations formed for the sole purpose really of making money, and investors invest in them expecting a return on that investment. So what this does is it takes the investors out and replaces them with something called stakeholders. Now, who is the stakeholder? Well, the stakeholders may be inside a company or outside a company. It may be Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg may be a stakeholder. It's very ill-defined, and I guess it's up to Klaus Schwab to define who stakeholders are. But it's odd that you go to the World Economic Forum and you find it just chock full of big CEOs of the biggest corporations. Well, some of them like this reportedly because it gets them off the hook of doing their job of making money for their corporation. Now, why is it important they do that? It's because that's a way that they operate efficiently. When they're doing that, that's one way of being efficient. And in being efficient, they're also providing value to the customer, which means lower prices. But what's happening in the energy sector is prices are shooting up and we have shortages. Well, if your main goal is to provide these social services or other things that are deemed to be stakeholder values, you're not out there trying to make money or serve the customer. Serve the customer ain't an object. So what happens? You get shortages, prices go up. The whole economy, there is no equitable foundation for what that economy is based on. It's not the transaction of things that we commonly associate. Now, we need to know that money shouldn't be everything, but we need to have other institutions to make sure that things are balanced out and we get the societal needs that we have and need in our world and country. But what they're doing is they're turning everything on its head. So that does mean that that you're going to maybe not be able to get things at all, pay higher prices. It's going to affect your ability to. They really want to stamp out all the small independent businesses. They want everybody working for the man, basically, if you look at the goals of that organization. So that's all a big part of this environmental, social, and governance criterion. And, you can go to Wikipedia here and look that up. And so they're wanting to change how companies are run, everything, companies, governments. Basically, it's putting Greta Thunberg in charge. Greta and Al Gore, and of course Klaus Schwab at the top, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe Prince Charles.
Yeah, it's basically a bunch of Marxists, bunch of socialists.
Prince of Wales, his symbol's a red dragon.
Yeah, they're trying to force the markets to go from fossil fuel. Well, I don't even like calling them fossil fuels, but anyways, from petroleum products to quote unquote green energy. Obviously the people who have the most to gain are the ones that are sitting on top of the so-called green investments. And
so like the guys who own all the mines now and mineral resources.
China.
Bingo, exactly.
China, yeah. So
China's got all the rare earth metals just about locked up. So China makes a killing.
But what really concerns me is when we had our interview, the things that you mentioned that could happen as a result of trying to preemptively force the markets in this direction. We could have, like you said, a shortage in diesel, and then those pumps in the nuclear power plants, if they don't have adequate diesel supply, or if the trucks can't bring the fuel to them to keep them running, you're going to see nuclear meltdowns. And we go into this in the video, so I'm not going to speak ahead of the video, but I guess it's just there are some very scary prospects. But in this video I show you that yes, our infrastructure has already been sabotaged, okay, and they're just not telling you. So I don't know if you want to get back to the video, but
yes. All right, so let's go back to it. And my tabs on Zoom fight me when I try to reach up to the tabs on the Google here. All right, here we go. We're going back into it, guys.
To launch precision-guided missiles against the world's most productive oil field. Where did the Houthis gain this new ability? Have these recent attacks been used as leverage against the world's largest oil company? And who has made gains in the energy sector since this power shift has occurred? It is a well-known fact that Iran supplies Houthi rebels with weapons to fight against Saudi Arabia. What seems to have been forgotten is that in 2016, the Obama administration gave $1.7 billion in cash to Iran. What was this money used for? And what was the real reason behind John Kerry's visit to Iran in 2018?
One thing Mexico's president makes no secret of is favoring state over private enterprise. And that goes especially for the country's electricity industry. Under his predecessor, it was opened up to private investment. Now he's doing what he can to reverse that.
I am convinced that privatization has been a failure. Robbery, looting of Mexico's resources, just to benefit individuals.
Thanks to the energy reform, he's pushed through a bill that favors the state company, CFE, to supply the country's electricity and sends private firms to the back of the line. On Wednesday, it became law. López Obrador says it will help give Mexico energy independence.
Now, controversial leases allowing oil and gas exploration in a wildlife refuge in Alaska have been suspended by President Biden. The White House had ordered an environmental review of the possible impact on what's been described as America's last great wilderness. The leases were sold at the very end of Donald Trump's presidency, with some 11 billion barrels of oil lying beneath the ice.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Kate Snow.
Good day, everyone. We're coming on the air with significant breaking news. The Pentagon just announcing that the last U.S. troops have withdrawn from Afghanistan, marking the end of America's longest war, nearly 20 years now. It comes shortly after midnight in that region, where it is now August 31st. The last flight departing Afghanistan just about an hour ago.
Let me ask the question that everyone is asking. What has the U.S. achieved after 20 years of war? What's the biggest highlight?
Hey, I like her channel. Well, it's not her channel. She's one of the correspondents that's most frequently on there. Now, she's a good correspondent. Weon does some hard-hitting stuff. They're pretty conservative, and they'll hit on the United States too. They're international. They're an Indian-based news organization, but they're really good. I really appreciate listening to them. This lady here is real sharp.
They removed the Taliban from power to replace them with the Taliban. Plus, they gifted the Taliban an air force, a complete fleet, and latest weapons. And if you think this is a one-off, then think again. The world over, America has armed terror groups, some by design, others by default. I'll start with the Taliban. Look at their new air defense capabilities. The first video is from the Kandahar airport, this one. It features two iconic pieces of US military hardware, the C-208 transport aircraft, costs $2 million each, and the MD-530F helicopter, cost $2.4 million each. Both are now in the Taliban's hands. How many do they have? Well, we cannot say. Here's the second video, though. This one is from the Herat airport. It shows the Taliban boarding two Mi-17 HIP helicopters. The lowest price for this aircraft is $16.4 million per unit, $16.4 million. Here's another video, again from the Kandahar airport. It shows the Taliban with two American UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, cost $5.9 million each. Next video from the Mazar-e-Sharif airport. It shows the Taliban posing in front of another MD-530F helicopter. I'll repeat the cost, $2.4 million. These are big, expensive war machines, and we don't know how many of these are with the Taliban now. The Afghan Air Force was operating a fleet of at least 167 aircraft, all developed and supplied by the United States of America. This included 43 MD-530 helicopters, 33 C-208 transport planes, 33 UH-60 Black Hawks, 23 A-29 light attack planes, 32 Mi-17 helicopters, and 3 C-130 Hercules aircraft. And these are the official figures, released by the US Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction. How many of these 167 are with the Taliban? Well, there's no official figure. Some of them are flown out of the country, but according to independent websites, most of these aircraft have been geolocated within Afghanistan, meaning they're still there, either with the Taliban or some other terrorist group. What will they do with this fleet? They don't know how to fly them, but they know how to force pilots to fly them. A lot of Afghan pilots have stayed behind in the country. They might be getting job offers they're not allowed to refuse.
1/3 of the world's oil and natural gas passes through the Straits of Hormuz. Now, with their recent acquisition of Mi-17s and A-29 Super Tucanos, the Taliban can launch sorties, kamikaze attacks, and boarding parties against oil shipments traveling through the Straits of Hormuz. Was this weapons transfer an act of gross negligence, or perhaps a carefully orchestrated plot to gain leverage over the world's largest energy provider?
The hunt for answers in that oil spill in California, and now a criminal investigation into that leak. The Coast Guard also boarding this massive cargo ship that was in the vicinity late today. The company said,
"Yeah,
I want you guys to pay attention to the picture that they show you of the cut inside this pipeline, and keep in mind what the official narrative is. What they were trying to tell people was that an anchor from a boat ripped this hole. If you know anything about what an anchor looks like, there's no way in God's green earth that an anchor with such precision could cut a hole like this in a pipe like that. Okay, the hole in this pipe looks like it was done, like it was made with a scalpel. Okay, that's how precise. If this thing was hooked by an anchor, it would have ripped that pipe right in half. Okay, this hole in the pipe looks like a diamond blade was brought down there, and like a 12-inch diamond blade cut straight, long ways straight down the middle of the pipe. So just take a look for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go ahead and play the video. Let them see this.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a saw cut. But hey, back on those weapons that got leased before we go with this.
Okay.
There was a lot more than that, and it included some of our friend and foe technology, tons of night vision goggles.
Oh yeah.
That gave our forces a very strategic advantage being able to own the night. We can't own the night anymore. And we had some stealth technology, a lot of stuff, stealth technology, a lot of stuff that went straight to China. China's copying our stuff. And there's a lot of thoughts that this stuff's also coming to our south border.
Yeah, I believe
Chinese are selling the cartels and other people. And then we may see this stuff coming back at us, guys.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that they got really increased their capability. They can do some very serious damage to their neighbors now. They received like 100 pieces of heavy artillery, mortars, hundreds of RPGs. I mean, AK-47 armored vehicles. The list goes on. If you've never heard of ARES, it's ARES. It's Armament Research Services. They have a list of everything that's been documented that the Taliban received. In the making of this video, I used their service, but they didn't document all of the aircraft because nobody right now knows all of the aircraft that the Taliban has. But as the lady on Wyon said, a lot of those aircraft were geolocated in Afghanistan. So it can be, rightfully assumed that, and the Taliban made a lot of videos that they posted on social media. It can be rightfully assumed that they, at the very least, have several A-29 Super Tucanos, which has a range of about 800 miles, which is enough for them to go all the way to the Straits of Hormuz and back. They can literally launch sorties against the most strategic choke point in the entire world, the Straits of Hormuz. They have enough helicopters now. If they want to go ahead and launch kamikaze attacks against anybody out in the ocean, they can do it. So yeah, it's a very, very big power shift. And nobody is talking about it. There's no one out there right now that is even talking about the capabilities of the Taliban right now. So I just, and the artillery that they got is some of the best artillery in the world that was ever made is Russian artillery. And if I'm not mistaken, the artillery pieces that they has a range of about 10 miles. So that's pretty serious, and everything that they have now is very affordable to operate. So they can operate it for as long as they want, nonstop, and it's very cost-effective stuff. So
I believe we took the Taliban and we built back better.
Yeah, right. We built them back better for sure.
They were when we went there in the first place. I mean, good grief.
It almost seems like it was on purpose, So,
here's another thing that bugs me. Why is it that the party that wants to take away our right to have nugs? Those that watch my channel know what I'm talking about. And yet, with programs like Fast and Furious in a previous administration by Mr. Obama, President Obama, they sent them to Mexico in droves, and then try to blame it on our right. Then they try to accuse it of people. They wanted to try to set up the narrative that they were coming over here and getting them from gun stores. No, they had them sent over there. They were behind that. The Fast and Furious, and then. On top of that, now look what Sleepy Joe is gave to the Afghans. I mean, they just give these things out to everybody that's not us. All the people that might harm us, all our enemies, they give that stuff out to, but yet they don't want us to have it. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that, we got to be careful how we say this, but isn't that very interesting? Everybody can have them but us, including criminals.
Especially our enemies.
Our enemies. We give them to them. Give them to them, sell them to them in vast quantities. Oh no, we can't have them. Very, very, very interesting. Anyway, yeah. So let's get on with the video here.
I want to before you press play, I want to mention, guys, keep in mind, this kind of stuff right here. This is called sabotage. Okay, sabotage is an act of war. Okay, somebody has waged war on us. All right, so we should not sit down and keep silent about these things right here. I need your help to help me get this information out. I understand the production, this is not a high, high-end production or anything, but what's important is the information. If you guys can help me share these videos, that's the best that I can do in helping to wake people up to the war that has been waged on us. So the links should be, I don't know if one of the mods are going to post the link tree. All the links to the videos are going to be in that link tree website. You can on your social media, post the links to the video, and it's free to watch. I'm not getting any money for it, and it's not about money. It's about waking people up to the realities that are going on. We are in a war. We are being attacked. How many razor blade cuts does it take to bring a giant down? That's exactly what they're doing to us right now. And this video documents all of that. Well, a lot of it. I mean, it's just scratching the surface. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that before we get back into the video. So you can go ahead and press play, I guess.
We're probably treading on thin ice talking about this, to be quite frank.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope my channel survives this. But,
sorry, Greg.
All right, let's go here.
Saying it was cleared of involvement. The first image tonight of the 13-inch cut in that damaged pipeline. And as
there it is, guys. It's straight right across the top. But there's a better view. It really looks more like a cut. That's an oblique view. Wait till you see it in a minute.
the race to contain and clean up goes on.
I think there's another view in here.
ABC's chief national correspondent back up on the investigation and what led to it tonight. Tonight, authorities launching a criminal investigation into how tens of thousands of gallons of oil leaked into the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Orange County. This newly released video provides a close-up look at the pipeline's 13-inch slit.
Yeah, look at that.
That's a straight cut, guys. I mean, look at how straight that cut is. Looks like somebody brought a diamond blade right on top of it. You gonna tell me, you're trying to tell me that a anchor did that? If an anchor did that, at least the algae that's growing around the pipe would have been scraped off as well, wouldn't it? I mean, get out of here. I mean, this is, if this isn't sabotage, and keep in mind, guys, this pipe is owned by a Texas company. There's one thing that keeps happening. One thing one pattern that you keep seeing out of all this is that the Texas private companies from Texas keep getting attacked. Okay, they know. Okay, if Texas and Oklahoma secedes from the union, they would, I mean, game on, guys, game on, because Texas and Oklahoma together have enough energy to power Mexico, all of the United States, including Canada. And so the globalists would have a very serious problem on their hands. So they've got to take out Texas private energy. And it looks like this is precisely what they're doing. So, you know, I'm sorry. You go ahead and roll the video.
Hey, go Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
100 feet underwater, but 6 days after the spill, questions and frustration mounted.
Russia has been talking about the prospect for that, as the Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak has told CNBC the Arctic could be a flashpoint for a new Cold War between Russia and the European Union. This after Brussels tabled proposals this week to ban oil drilling in the Arctic region. Well, speaking to our colleague Hadley at Russian Energy Week, Novak said such a ban would only worsen the crisis facing Europe's energy market.
Good Thursday evening. Today, a California proposal to ban new drilling wells from being built at least 3,200 feet from homes, schools, hospitals, and other locations was announced. 23 ABC's Vanya Patino joining us live in Northeast Bakersfield with what this means for Kern County's residents. Vanya.
Kern County is in a unique position as it does make 70% of all the oil and gas in the state of California. However, according to several studies, the environmental impact is hefty and affects mostly people of color. So we have community members who are in favor of it and some opposing it.
Keep in mind, guys, that's 70%.
Morning, gas and patients running low at the pump.
I have been here now for an hour and 15 minutes.
Emergency declarations issued in 4 states with more than 1,700 gas stations from Florida to Maryland out of fuel. It comes on the heels of that crippling cyber attack against a critical U.S. fuel source.
All the gas stations closer to where I live were completely empty.
Americans up and down the East Coast on the hunt for gas, overwhelming some stations. Cars bumper to bumper here in the Carolinas and stretching down streets in Florida.
Check out the line.
Nationwide gas prices reaching their highest point in nearly 7 years. But with the Colonial Pipeline still mostly down, the region that relies on the 5,500-mile system for its fuel is feeling an impact.
My fear is you have these gas shortages. It's going to cause a lot of problems for people.
At some stations in South Carolina on Tuesday, cars were turned away. And according to Gas Buddy, nearly 40% of Metro Atlanta gas stations are out of fuel. The long lines, though, already causing a domino effect in some cases.
The official narrative regarding the Colonial Pipeline attack was that a hacking organization named DarkSide was responsible for carrying out the attack. And indeed, they were. However, the media purposefully withheld a critical part of the story. DarkSide conducts attacks as a service provider on behalf of a client. So the question still remains, who paid DarkSide to attack the Colonial Pipeline?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. On behalf of the World Economic Forum, I'd like to thank you all for joining us for our first ever virtual Sustainable Development Impact Summit. I'd also like to thank you for joining us for this session and your interest in the topic of ESG and corporate governance.
There we are, ESG, and you're about to hear from our dear friend, Klaus Schwab.
How do we actually take these principles and make them part of our business practices? So without further ado, I will hand over to Professor Klaus Schwab to introduce us.
Thank you very much, Maha. We are talking about a substantial shift which is taking place, which is the transition of an economy which is more based on shareholders' value to an economy which is more based on stakeholder responsibility. And
there he goes. Against shareholders and for stakeholders. And who's the stakeholders?
Exactly. Who's the stakeholder? That's precisely right.
Stakeholders. And who gets to define that? So there's the ploy for the overtake of the corporate organizations. And I did say dear friend with a wink, if you know what I mean.
Hey, Greg, I'll be right back. My dog seems to be barking at something.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
You got somebody trying to invade you because we're
It wouldn't surprise me. It's happened before.
Well, go out and take care of business.
I'll be right back.
All right, guys. He's going off to fight off the invaders, so we're going to continue with Klaus Schwab.
The metrics are walking the talk. To add, I would say, a concrete dimension to the stakeholder responsibility. I also would like to mention that this work is part of our great reset industry. The World Economic Forum at the moment is mobilizing all its communities, also in preparation of our annual meeting in 21, related to the definition and design of policies which we have to follow in the post-corona era.
It used to be that ESG meant screening out companies that don't comply, but lately activist investors are screening in companies that would be the antithesis of ESG, like big oil and pushing for changes. That's what's going on at Exxon right now. A new firm called Envy Number One, led by an under-the-radar hedge fund manager, Chris James, is running a proxy fight seeking to overhaul the business by installing 4 directors to the board. Their bulk of their goal is to diversify the business into more clean energy while slashing costs elsewhere to ensure that that sacred dividend is protected.
Hedge fund engine number one has gained a 3rd seat on the ExxonMobil board of directors. The small fund campaigned on environmental concerns, ESG, of course, the idea that Exxon simply not doing enough to address that in its business. CEO Darren Woods issued a statement saying he looked forward to working with the new directors. We covered this, of course, last week, and I've been reporting that it was likely that Mr. Alexander Karsner, would be added to the board. This is still a preliminary count, but it does appear that is going to be the case with ExxonMobil, at least confirming that. We haven't gotten the final account there, but there's a look at the 3 new directors. Really almost hard to have imagined that this would have occurred.
I think what we saw yesterday from what happened on both sides of the Atlantic was just the sheer power that obviously activist investors do currently have. I mean, the climate was absolutely huge. I mean, it was just an absolutely humiliating defeat yesterday for ExxonMobil. The fact that a tiny, previously unheard of hedge fund with a tiny stake, it was just 0.02% of the company, managed to oust essentially 2 top executives and put the CEO of the world's largest, or the Western world's largest oil company in jeopardy. I mean, and forced them to change course. That's absolutely huge. Obviously, Chevron also had a bit of a comeuppance in terms of climate as well. The fact that these 3 things happened, I think, to 3 of the world's biggest oil companies all on the same day, I think really just shows the speed that the climate movement is moving at, and I think is only going to accelerate from here.
Should we be playing Another One Bites the Dust right now?
Well, yeah, it's, you know, it's just, isn't it a coincidence that all of a sudden every single one of the world's major oil companies has been sacked by ESG activists? I mean, is that not a coincidence? What the question I have is, what kind of leverage did these people here have over the board, the owners and CEOs of these companies? Because this goes directly against their interest. I mean, why would they focus on projects to put themselves out of business? Now, a lot of the smaller companies that were overrun, and I don't even go into this in the documentary. I mean, this stuff that I'm covering is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. There have been some companies that have literally been put out of business from these ESG activists, and these are small companies that I just thought it's too small for me to add it to the documentary. I didn't want it to make it too long, but guys, there is much more going on than I even cover here in this short 35-minute video. So keep that in mind. They are literally trying. I mean, I have no problem with the markets going, and nobody should have a problem with the markets going the way that they decide to go on their own. But when you start to force the markets to go a certain way, when you start to manipulate the markets, there are going to be ramifications that you did not expect. There are going to be major problems that you're going to run into that you did not expect. And as smart as these people may be, and as smart as they may think that they are, they do not have everything planned out. Okay. They have not planned for, everything. And they are not, our rightful overlords. So,
amen.
So
they're trying to be, they want to set up a feudal state with them as the lords and us as the serfs.
Right. They want to manipulate the markets, force it to go into a certain way so that they are sitting on top. Okay. When smoke clears, but I'm telling you, when the smoke rises from this one, it is not going to clear. Okay, so it's just keep watching, I guess. I don't know.
Excuse me. All right, guys, we could get some more thumbs up in here. We've got 143 in the room, only 89. That'll really help, guys, with the Al Gore has no rhythms. And these are the guys that we're covering here who wants to give the world to Al Gore and Greta Thunberg and Klaus Schwab. Yikes. Oh, yeah, by the way, think about that. Think about a company being driven by these guys to use their shareholders' money to drive them out of business and destroy their shareholders' investment. Wow. Do you want to be a shareholder in a company like that? I would think not. Anyway, let's watch.
Now, with their claws firmly sunk into the heart of American energy production, ESG board members tighten their grip, forcing Exxon to reduce its yield, stagnating the circulation of America's lifeblood, petroleum.
Saudi Aramco said it has completed the sale of its 49% stake in Aramco Oil Pipelines Co. for $12.4 billion to a consortium led by Washington-based EIG Global Energy Partners as the world's top oil producer steps up fundraising initiatives.
Now, holding a 49% stake in the world's largest oil-producing company, ESG activists at EIG stand ready to starve the world of affordable energy. For a deeper analysis of the threat posed by ESG activists, I spoke with Greg Allison from the Task Force on National and Homeland Security.
I'd like to start off by briefly introducing you for the audience. Greg Allison is an avionics engineer at NASA. He studied electrical engineering at the University of Alabama in Huntsville and takes special interest in grid defense. He's part of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security and president of Freedom Restoration Foundation. Now, Mr. Allison, the World Economic Forum has worked with lightning speed to embed their ESG operatives into every sector of our economy. The main target of their assault has been against private energy, primarily oil, natural gas, and coal. Since their deployment, these economic terrorists have been working overtime to manipulate the markets. We have seen dramatic price increases and shortages in everything from food to fuel. In this interview, I'd like to focus on the manipulation in the fuel market. My question for you is this: what threat does a shortage in gasoline or diesel pose to our grid, Mr. Allison?
Well, to our grid, we must know that a lot of our electricity is produced by fossil fuels. Natural gas being one of the primary ones, which is also an increase. But that will reflect a big price increase. It could be shortages. It could relate to brownouts in the future. But I worry about things such as backup power to cool the not only the nuclear reactors, but the spent fuel rod cooling pools, or I should say cooling pools, because there are also rods being staged to go into the reactor, are also in those pools, which are not in the containment zone. They're highly radioactive. They're covered with only 20 foot of water, and they evaporate 160 gallons of fuel from the water per day, per hour, excuse me. So you have to have, no, it's a minute, excuse me, 160 gallons per minute. You have to have pumps to pump that water to keep those pools cool. Now, if they evaporate, they will expose the fuel rods. These fuel rods have a zirconium alkaloid. It's called zircaloid. The alloy is called zircaloid. Zirconium alloy called zircaloid, and that will burn on contact with air. If the power grid should go down, then these are at risk because the backup generators that run these are based on diesel fuel. Without a power grid, you're going to run out of means to pump the fuel to get it to the plants. You won't even be able to run the trucks to bring it. So they have a certain reserve. It's going to last them a few days, but after that, you're at risk once that water evaporates. It's going to put the whole country at risk. We've got about 100 of these cooling pools scattered across the United States. So
that sounds terrifying, Mr. Allison. Now, what would a meltdown at a nuclear reactor look like for Americans?
Well, it would look awful if you think of Chernobyl, if you think of Fukushima. Oh, yeah, by the way, Chernobyl and Fukushima got under control, to some degree. They entombed Chernobyl. What happens if it's all the plants and they can't, and the grid's down, we don't have the resources to deal with these things. for the nuclear reactors. But I've always ignored the nuclear reactors because of just so much material being spent in fuel rod pools, or the fuel rod coolant pools, I should say, because there are some active hot rods that are planet hot rods to be put into the plant. So people just don't appreciate how dangerous those are, and they're actually more dangerous than the nuclear reactors themselves if they should run out of water. But they thought they would never run out of water, so they didn't worry about that. But yeah, they can, and grid down they will, and we're going to be in a heap of trouble. So listen to this.
In the case of Fukushima, they've been able to keep water in the cooling pools, but what a lot of people don't realize is there's more radioactive material in the cooling pools than in the reactor. And it's not in a containment building. So it's typically in buildings with just a sheet metal roof. When that stuff starts burning, it's hot. It's going to burn the top. It'll burn a hole in that roof. This gas will all be coming out and spreading radioactivity across America if we don't keep these pools cool. And we got to have fuel to keep the generators running.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Mr. Allison, what do you perceive as the greatest threat to our grid?
Now, there is a good question, and I'm going to give you an answer you're probably not expecting. The greatest threat to our grid is the managers and the organizations involved with grid management who refuse to get the grid hardened. There's a couple of organizations I was out here who are pushing to get the grid hardened because there are several root causes that could bring the grid down, and it will. If nothing's done, our grid will fail. And 9 out of 10 people is estimated by the Congressional EMP Task Force would be dead within a course of a year due to societal collapse. And I told them that this is an optimistic number because they didn't account for just how few farmers actually are growing anything other than market food. A lot of people start growing their own food these days. And you got to worry about hacking, cyber attacks. You got to worry about kinetic attacks where somebody just comes in and maybe using an AK-47 and taking out the transformers. These transformers weigh 200 to 400 tons a piece. They're as big as a house. And it takes 18 months to get them on the loading deck when you order them because they're hand wound. And then most of them are coming from overseas. We have a few companies overseas. All the companies are producing them in Montgomery, and other couple of places, but most of them are produced overseas, and they're being produced at a rate of replacement or the growth rate of the grid. If suddenly you had to replace them all, and if the system was working, it would take years to replace them. But if the grid's down, how do you order them? With no fuel to run the trucks and the boats, the ships, how do you move them? There's only a limited number of these big rail cars that can actually transport them, like 12, and trucks that can move these things. So I don't see anything put Humpty Dumpty back together yet. I see a total failure and collapse of society that will take a lifetime to limp back into place, if at all, because the societal collapse is going to be like Mad Max. But you got to compound that with the nuclear power plant problem. So it's horrific. We simply cannot afford to let this happen. And I lay it back to the managers.
Precisely. Now, from my analysis, it seems as though a war has been waged against private energy production. The strong push towards so-called green energy clearly displays, at least to me, who stands to gain from all of this. What are your final thoughts on this matter?
Well, there's a lot of corruption in that because the politicians get involved in pushing that. We've seen in the past where big grants with companies that never did anything. They just took the big grants because they were friends of whoever was in power at the time, and had a great time with it. They never produced squat. So we've seen this too much. And the other thing is the green energy is Europe and the United States, especially in Europe, they've been pushing hard for it, and they're finding that they're in a crunch now, and they're looking at a hard winter, and they're not finding the energy they need. They're coming up short. California, look at California. They're coming up short. And where are the brownouts at? Just go around the country and look and see who's having the brownouts and tell me how well it's working. We can always have all these hopes in the future, but sometimes you put people are putting their themselves in the middle of a situation they're not ready for. I mean, if you switch everything over and you're not ready, for example, if you don't have adequate power storage when you're dealing with intermittent power supplies like wind and solar, you're going to find yourself in alerts from time to time. So what do? These power companies in California are places to buy power from other parts of the country, which is, of course, reliant on these big long distance power lines with those big transformers I was talking about, which would be fried with an EMP. We won't have any power if those things get fried. This country would go down. So that's what we got to avoid. We worry about that. We also worry about the electronic control systems called SCADAs, which are supervisory control and data acquisition systems. It's the computers. They're similar to what you call primary logic computers used in industry. Some people in industry will know what I'm talking about. But these things are control systems used for electric grid, for pipelines, for even big buildings, HVACs and so forth. And big buildings, a lot of infrastructure uses these SCADA devices.
Right. We saw how vulnerable those devices are during the Colonial Pipeline hack that happened a few months ago. I'd like to get your thoughts on this as well. This is the part of the story that they left out. DarkSide is actually a service provider, and they hack for clients. So that's the part of the story that the mainstream media left out. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's highly interesting, isn't it? So I wonder who their client was in this case. They didn't get money. They didn't get a bunch of money out of this deal. There must have been some other objective here. That's what really worries me.
Precisely.
Here's what we worry about. We worry about if somebody wants to take our grid down, they're going to do it with a multi-pronged attack. It's not going to be one thing.
Right.
It could be kinetic attacks and directly on power substations. But this thing, there's 9 critical ones that taken down to take down our whole grid in the United States. And we're looking at them taking cyber hacks. And you could get an EMP thrown in on top of us. And they might do this when we get big solar flares, so everybody will think it's the sun that did it when it was them that did it.
Right. Now, from my analysis, most of the assault on our infrastructure has been with this weapon right here.
And that goes back to my original blame. You said, what's the greatest threat to the power grid? What did I say? It's the management.
Mr. Allison, I'd like to thank you for your time and joining me for this interview. Thank you very much for your time and for your insight, Mr. Allison.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You said Southerners can't talk fast.
I could barely understand you myself.
You sounded normal. We're almost done with the video. All right, let's go. I'm not hearing sound.
No, there's no sound. These are just things I wanted to put in there at the end. These are things that have been going on just in the last few days. Hey, go back to that last slide. Go back to that last slide. I want to touch on that.
Hang on.
It's
before or after that.
No, oil prices surging to $200. Yeah, press play.
There we are.
See, right there. Yeah, press pause. All right, so it's all right. Now these option traders, they're starting to buy oil or starting to place bets on oil being $200 a barrel next year. Okay, but there is not going to be a low supply next year. There's expected to be a surplus actually of oil. So if you know anything about just basic economics, you know when there is more of a product or a surplus of a product, prices typically tend to go down. Okay, so what these people are doing here with these $200 bets on oil, all it's doing right now is bringing the cost of oil today up higher. Okay, so everything that these people have been doing ultimately has been bringing the price of fuel up, which also relates into increases in the price of food and everything else. Okay, so these people, this is literally market manipulation to perfection. Okay, and just the fact that most people aren't even talking about this, it's just beyond conspiracy. All right, this is not conspiracy. These people are carrying out an attack. All right, this is called economic terrorism. There's no reason for them to bet on $200 in oil next year. There is supposed to be reserves, and Saudi Arabia themselves said it, that they expect to have a surplus of oil next year, which it means means that the price should be lower. Okay, but what this signals to the markets is that these people are expecting gas prices to go up. And if they continue to manipulate the markets, then yeah, I guess that would be the case because nobody's going to be producing oil. So yeah, but it just goes back to the fact that these people are manipulating the markets. It's an act of war. Blockades. I want to remind the audience, a blockade is an act of war. Okay, we should not be afraid to call it for what it is. Call a spade a spade. Okay, that vaccine mandate is a blockade on the economy. I'm sorry, the vaccine mandate. I probably shouldn't have said that on your channel. Sorry about that, Greg. ERCOT blocking natural gas when there was a surplus of natural gas in Texas. That's called a blockade. Nord Stream 2, all the sanctions that we've been putting on those companies, that's a blockade. Keystone XL, that's a blockade. All the Alaska contracts that were forced to stop, that's a blockade. All the contracts and leases on federal land that had been signed that were stopped, that is also a blockade. Guys, these are very serious topics that no one is talking about. And we need to be aware of this because it has serious ramifications for our energy.
When I talk about food prices and inflation in my videos, I always talk about energy prices. And I point out energy is a rich source in here because you have to have energy to move all the goods back and forth. It takes energy to store stuff. It takes energy to process stuff in the stores and the warehouses. You got to have the energy to maintain and move things and for customers to be able to come in and see them and buy them. Energy is part of the manufacturing of things, the drying of grain, the crushing, the processing. Energy is all involved in all this stuff to a very high degree. And so when you start increasing the price of energy, everything's got to go up, and it's going to go up pretty fast the way the energy prices are going up. I mean, just look what's happened. The last you know, 7, 8, 10 months, you know, since we've had a change in administrations. Gas price is double. It's double. It's gone up over 100%. You know, so we say they're still trying to tell us that inflation is 4%. Well, that's going to ripple into everything, including food prices. I mean, if you think about food, tractors have to run them back and forth across the land to you know, till in the last year's stocks and prep the land and then plant the land, and then they spray it and fertilize it and just all kind of stuff. Tractors are moving back and forth across it all the time, and then to harvest it, all that takes fuel. And actually, the fertilizer is made out of propane. Propane prices are going up faster than anything. So the propane that makes the fertilizers, even stuff I wish they wouldn't use, like Roundup, has gone up astronomically. So the farmers are using that model to grow stuff. We're going to be highly challenged.
It's not just that either. Most of the plastics are made out of oil, petroleum products as well. Even your clothing is made out of petroleum. So.
Well, a lot of we do grow cotton around here, thank God. And thanks to having eradicated the boll weevil, finally, King Cotton's coming back. There's a lot of cotton growing around where I'm at. The fields are white right now. They're already harvesting it though. So, and that's without snow. We have white fields around here at the moment for a short time until they grab it all up. You know, the cotton pickers, the cotton pickers. So, you know, we in the South had that euphemism. We used to say everything, well, cotton picking this and cotton picking that, you know. So, so if you're from the South, you might get a chuckle out of that, especially us older guys and gals. But anyway, so we'll finish going through your little slides here. There we go.
Well, if you mentioned the word inflation there, you recently said you have no short-term answer to bring down gas prices. But as you know, it's not just gas prices now. Rents are up. The cost of everyday items are up. Inflation in the U.S. is at a 13-year high. So when specifically should Americans expect those prices to come down?
Well, look, first of all, the significant reason why prices are up is because of COVID affecting the supply chain. I mean, I know I'm not trying to be instructive. I know you know this. Number one. Number two, if you take a look at you know, gas prices and you take a look at the oil prices, that is a consequence of, thus far, the refusal of Russia or the OPEC nations to pump more oil. And we'll see what happens on that score sooner than later.
All right. Well, that's an interesting piece of work you threw together there, Doug. So
yeah, I appreciate you letting me debut it on your show, Greg. I really, and I also appreciate you taking your time to let me interview you for it, because these topics are extremely important, especially if their blitzkrieg continues.
The breadth of what he is.
She's trying to jump the next video.
You know, God forbid they, you know, prematurely shut down too much oil and natural gas production. As you said in the interview between the two of us, this could have some very serious ramifications, not just on the United States, but on the entire world if they continue doing this. You know, we're talking about starvation. We're talking about, you know, famine, nuclear power plants melting down. You know, the possibilities here are just very, very scary. And, you know, that's not to say that, you know, this green technology shouldn't be around, but, you know, let the markets take its time in, you know, in moving in that direction.
They're trying to push it faster than the system's ready for. They're trying to push it faster than it can deliver. It can't deliver right now to what they're trying to push. And now they're trying to put all the cars on the power grid, and the power grid is not built right now to be able to take all the automotive traffic in this country.
Yeah, you saw what happened in California. I mean, some of those power lines got caught on fire. All of a sudden there's a huge spike in demand for electricity because of these electric cars, and you're telling me that has nothing to do with the fires that happen? I mean, I'm no electrician or engineer, but I know when there's an increase in demand, grids can be overtaxed and shut down. Am I incorrect in that assumption there? Or?
Oh yeah, well, there's more to it than that. There's actually some grid switching components that are now on the smart grid that are easy for anybody to hack, and you can make them throw sparks when you switch them in and out. And they're out there in the forest, so you could actually start fires just by knowing how to go out there and hack this stuff. And it's something that's happening.
See, my biggest concern, and the reason why I made this documentary, is because I think it's apparent that our infrastructure has already been attacked multiple times in just the last few months. I mean, the Colonial Pipeline was a perfect example of this. I mean, the media did not talk about the fact that DarkSide is a service provider. So that begs the question, who paid DarkSide to attack the Colonial Pipeline, and who would benefit from the Colonial Pipeline being taken offline? Right? It would be people who are in direct, opposition to the use of fuel, people who are invested in its competitor, right? Green energy. And then the same with this California oil spill. I mean, you saw the pictures of the cut yourself. Does that look like an anchor cut? I mean, definitely not. So, I mean, just those two facts alone should have the entire country of the United States asking, who is sabotaging our critical infrastructure? Because yes, even though these infrastructures might be operated by private businesses, nonetheless, they are critical. And you saw the amount of congestion that the Colonial Pipeline had created just on the East Coast alone. Imagine if that happened in the rest of the country. We could be brought to our knees. So who is responsible for this? We need to get to the bottom of it, and those people need to be held accountable immediately, because it is an act of war. These are literally crimes against humanity. They are targeting innocent civilians, people who don't want to fight in a war, people who don't want to, we asked nothing to do with this, but they brought us in it. Okay. We are the ones who are being attacked here. Okay. The people during Hurricane Uri in February in Texas, when ERCOT cut off the natural gas, those innocent civilians were the ones that were hurt. Some people even died because of the blockade that they had on natural gas. Has anyone been brought to justice for that? No. The American people need to stand up and demand that answers be given regarding who is it that is attacking us right now? Because to me, it is apparent, it is obvious that we are under attack. And, I understand, you make an investment in green energy, okay, and you want to attempt to push the markets in that direction. I get it, okay. You've got your investment. You want to do well in your investment, but at the detriment of innocent people, at the expense, at the jeopardy of innocent civilians. No, that is not ethical. That is not right. It not only violates all the rules of war, it violates our laws. It violates, so much. It's unethical. I mean, why would you put innocent civilians at risk over your investment? It is evil. It is the epitome of evil. Okay. And so this,
the real proof of that is if you remember their video and the systems they were talking about when they said you will have no property, no taxes, and no privacy, yet you will be happy. They had a video at one time. They pulled it because too many of us got that video and started flagging it around, and it was making them look bad. So they actually pulled it from the internet. But that was a video that the World Economic Forum themselves had posted. and it tells you what the agenda really is. And it's for those amongst, now think about it. Who is the World Economic Forum? It's the richest of the rich, the uber creme of the creme, the CEOs and blah, blah, you know, the world's top leaders.
They tend to be children of, you know, Hitler's youth. So,
okay. Now I'm going somewhere with this. Now think about this. These are the people saying that we need global communism, basically, communism, I should say. So why, you know, do you think that they're spending so much money to give up everything they have? No. I mean, why would you know, guys like Bezos and these other guys be out there building $500 million yachts right now? I mean, there's some of these guys are building some enormous giant yachts. And why are they doing it? Are they building those just to give them up because it's too much? No. You got to understand what's really going on here is they climb the ladder, or at least some people climb the ladder to get to the top shelf in the world's pecking order. And what they're doing is they're kicking the ladders out so that nobody else will follow them. So now they'll establish a class society with them permanently at the top and everybody else is serfs. It's called feudalism, neo-feudalism. All right. Well, hey, we got a couple of great super chats here. I want to thank both Top Knot and Brian Perendi. Thank you guys very much for the super chat. So at least we're getting some support here, and it really helps. It really helps us here because this channel, we have caught on so many things here that, you know, will probably be I'll probably have a hard time, if not a complete inability to monetize this video when I post it.
I'm sorry if I give you a strike, Greg.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to see when we post. I hope we get by okay, because we're really trying to dance around this. We're just letting people know that we're in a lurch, guys. Connie, my boy, cat. Oh my God.
And you know, we also have to worry, you know, about an invasion now on our southern border. And what you got to think, you know,
will they be equipped with some of that stuff that was left behind in Afghanistan?
Well, yeah, that too. But you know, why are they targeting Texas? You know, Texas has enough oil and natural gas to power the entire United States. All right. So what do you? I want to pose this question to the audience.
There's a lot of reasons for them to target Texas. One, Texas is conservative. Texas is interested in Texas, and again, they're an engine producer. So they got three motives to go after Texas.
Well, Houston is the largest Christian city in the United States. Okay. Wow. The largest Christian city in the world. Okay. So keep that in mind. However, what I want to pose this question to the audience. What do you think would be the effect on the border cities if these hundreds of thousands of migrants end up crossing the border? What do you think would happen? You know, we are already here in Texas, we're already experiencing shortages in the grocery stores. Okay. Now, if I can tell you, if 100,000 people came to where I'm at here in Texas, there's going to be very serious fighting over the resources that are here. Okay. There's not enough for everybody. There's going to be civil unrest. Okay. I can tell you that with certainty. Civil unrest will occur. And who are they going to call if there's civil unrest? I know for a fact that the government here in El Paso is going to call the United Nations. They're going to come screaming across the border real quick as soon as they're called on. And you know who's at the helm of the United Nations right now? It's China. Okay. And all of that oil and all of the natural gas in this area is going to immediately go offline. Immediately. Okay. And they know, okay, these globalists who are in power, they know for sure that if Texas secedes from the Union, it is game on. Okay. Because they're going to be a competitor to the globalist New World Order. I mean, that's just flat out what it is.
Well, if Texas secedes, they're going to have a bunch of other states joining up with them real fast.
And I hope so. I hope so. I really do. I think Oklahoma would be there, and probably Louisiana as well. And so, you know, because if I'm not mistaken, Louisiana has a lot of vested interest in the oil industry. They, you know, I know they have some ports there. They have some, you know, I think if I'm not mistaken, the Mississippi goes through there. So it's a lot of shipments of things that come in through Louisiana. So yeah, I know the entire East Coast and all the South with that, you know, the pipeline would join. I mean, they
southern states and mountain states would be.
They have to for their own good,
because the nation will be run by the rest of the country. The balance will tip so far to the left, they'll be leaving in droves.
Yeah. So, guys, it's, you know, very serious things that are going on right now. We need to be, you know, as best as we can, aware of what is taking place. It's the whole reason why I made this documentary. So if you see the link in that chat box for the link tree, you can go there. You can go see the different hosting sites that have the video. Please share it with your friends. You know, I don't, you know, I'm not doing this for money. But if you want to donate, there's ways you can donate, help me out. You know, I'm just a guy, a regular guy with a computer, just, you know, a normal laptop, nothing fancy, trying to make waves in a big ocean. So, yeah.
All right, here's the channel link, I believe. So there we go. You can click on that. That is that's Doug's channel. And so, all right, my friends. So we've gone through this here. We're in a bind, guys. Our society is challenged, and it's up to us to call it out, stand up to it, and say, no, we're not taking that. And we got to make sure, you know, our elected officials are pretty much bought out by these big guys. We need to take it back. Melanie, thank you, because you are fast. Yeah, she liked that fast video we played. Maybe I should record all my videos and play them at 1.5. So, okay, we'll see different comments in here. Yeah, we just got to declare that we're not going to take it. You know, that's one of the reasons I started the Freedom Restoration Foundation. I should probably pull that up and then share that. I don't think I'm sharing the screen right now, am I? No. Okay, very good. I'm going to pull up the Freedom Restoration Foundation real fast. That's one way. And we need people to help us out with this too, because we're just we got people scattered across the United States, but we are still a small organization of volunteers. And I'm actually paying for this website out of my own pocket, guys, because I care. That's why we're doing this stuff, guys. So what I want to do here is I'm going to come in here and do a quick share. Ding, ding, ding. There it is. I could use somebody besides just me that can build websites with WordPress and Elementor. So because I need help putting up alerts and things. We've had a couple alerts we just couldn't get to because I just couldn't find 2 minutes to put it up here. And there's certain things you do. And so you come in here. These are alerts, action page. You come here and click on them and get all the details of what to do, who to contact. Well, we go way more into this than that, though, guys. Yeah, by the way, it's the National Archives building right there where the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and all that stuff is stored on the other side of those columns. And and then if we come on down here, you know, what's at stake, you know, we're talking about some of the freedoms we're focused on right now. You know, it may change in time, or right now, these are some of our biggest, you know, when freedom of speech has been taken from us, when we're giving these things out to everybody else in the world, but they're taking them from us. And this, you know, with the mandates, guys, some of us have careers that are at stake right now. And it tells you what you can do, local actions, personal actions, and then the best of all, I think, is this action center. I don't know any other activist group that's got a resource like this. This tells you, again, it's the actions are here, and then make your voices count. You know, a little bit of the basics, and the national, 2 ways to track bills nationally. And now you can track your state bills, what's going on in your state legislature websites, because the states matter, guys. States are a big part of this. and find out. See here, you can find out who your representative in Congress is, find out who your senators are, and how to email them, call them, what to write, what to say, and then a resource recap of all these things. Then we go back into that again. And then if you come over here, resources. Now this is where we really need another volunteer to help us out. Our resource stuff here needs to be updated, but we basically are trying to keep spreadsheets in here that includes every bill of concern that's in the United States Congress. And it includes lots of details, you know, if it's the House, Senate, the bill number, bill name, summary of it, who introduced it, the status of it, what committees it's in, I mean, who their sponsors are. These are details that you can use to really take something on. If you know who is in the subcommittees are where you nip things in the bud, not when it gets to the floor. You need to tackle a bill you don't like or do like when it's in a subcommittee. Because if it passes a subcommittee, the chances on the floor of the House are pretty big. So you really go through a subcommittee, a full committee, and then to the House floor. And if you see somebody on here that sponsors something you don't like, especially if they're in your district, and you call them up and let them have it. If you see that your Congress member who's on the committee is not on here, then you can hopefully more easily convince him to oppose it, him or her. So there's a lot of this stuff. This is 3 pages of bills. Now, some of these have already been passed or failed, so this definitely needs to be updated. But, this is the kind of information we're trying to we may build us a Hall of Fame. We may do a Hall of Shame. And we had one of our key members who thought we shouldn't have halls of fame and shame, and we shouldn't even tell people who we are. I think our current leadership is not in agreement with that, so we may change. And right now we have 2 states listed here, but actions. We basically got a strong chapter in Arizona. We've got board members from Wisconsin, Washington State, Arizona. We had one in New York. He's resigned because he's a medical school. And we had, we're all over the United States, but we're spread wide but paper thin. So we definitely need some help, guys. That's more than I can do to keep up with this website. I got other stuff to do too. But you can see we do try to take these. Eventually, we'd love to have just one thing that says states, and you pull it down and pick your state. And hopefully we'll get all the states in here one day, or at least a good bit of them. So the hope is that we can expand this and make it a lot more powerful, but we need a good group of people involved in this. Now, our secretary checks our email, but she's also extremely busy, so we will get around to this. But our email, if you want to join us, is info@freedomrestorationfoundation.org. info@freedomrestorationfoundation.org. And you can also find us on Facebook and MeWe. That's another social platform outside of Facebook. I'll stop that share. Halo. So,
hey, Greg, do you mind if I plug the BitChute channel real quick?
No.
Guys, if I could get you to click on the BitChute link or go to that BitChute link, it'll take you to the documentary. BitChute is kind of like YouTube, but it doesn't have as big of an audience, and it does not have as many content creators. If I can get this video trending on BitChute, then it might actually make or have an impact. All you've got to do is just go to that link right there.
Text me the BitChute link in.
It's in the chat right now.
Oh, okay.
And if I can get, I don't know if I'll be able to get up to 500 people, but if I could get 500 views on that video in BitChute, it will go up into the trending page. If it gets into the trending page, then there's the potential that millions of people worldwide would actually see this video trending in BitChute. And if they do that, it could actually have an impact in the world. So it's a very small thing to do. Just copy and paste the link. I'm not making any money off of it. Like I said before, this is all just about trying to wake up our neighbors to the attack that is taking place right now. So that's a simple thing you can do to help out. So I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. Thank you.
Yeah, everybody help them out wherever you can. Hey, I want to give a couple of shout outs and thank yous to two awesome super chatters. Melanie Lyons, $20. She says, because you were fast. Wink. And also to our good friend Wise Al saying, thank you, Greg. And thank you both very much. So $20 super chats. That's awesome. Well, really appreciate that. And so trying to keep up with some of the comments in here too. Connie is asking about Arizona. Connie, I got a place in Arizona too. I don't know who you're chatting with there. But I'm up in northeast Arizona, in the Snowflake area. And hopefully I'll be out there before too long again. So, all right, now I see talking to Tycho here. Dave Loveboy says, and you will get paid. No, he's not going to get paid for this right now. He's trying to get the word out, David Boy. That's the whole option of going to BitChute. So, all right, gun companies, share this hashtag ESG Blitz. So that does it, huh? That gets you there.
I tried to put the link on there. I don't know if it's being blocked by YouTube. If it is, you can go to the link tree. If you go to, I'm going to type it in the chat. Let me know if
I go to your channel. Hang on. If I go to your channel, and I have been sharing videos from your channel, so I'm over here on your channel. Is there a list on here? Where can I go here and find those other resources?
I put the link tree link in the chat box. Does it show up?
There's a hashtag. I don't know.
Okay, so YouTube must be blocking the links. Okay, so if you go to linktr.ee /ESG Blitz.
Whoa. LINK what?
Here, I'm gonna type it like this: LINKTR. Okay, and then I'm gonna do. I'll put it EE /ESG Blitz. Did this show up? I just commented in there. It's Linktree /ESG Blitz. That has all of the links to the different content providers. If you could click on the one in BitChute and get it trending, we might actually be able to get this global. It might actually go global if it gets in the trending section. Did you see the Linktree thing that I posted in there?
I don't see it.
It's, oh my goodness. Okay.
All right, just bear with me. I can post stuff because I am on this video, and mods can too. So bear with me. Just answer me this. Send me the link in Facebook, in Messenger on Facebook, and I will transcribe it over.
All right. It's going to be on its way here in just a second.
Just do that. Send it to me in Facebook, and I'll transfer it over in Messenger. So I'm waiting on that, guys, to see if I can get that.
I got the BitChute link to you just now. And then I just sent you the Linktree. Oh, it won't. Facebook won't let me send you the Linktree link.
All right. Well, let me copy the one you sent. Now I'm going to come back to this video and see if I can copy that. And I should be able to put that in here. There it is. There it is, guys. There's a BitChute link. Check that out, guys.
Yeah, if you guys click on that and get it trending, man, that's going to help out a lot.
Now, you don't have to be on Facebook, Connie, to do this. This is a BitChute. I just asked him to send it to me that way because he couldn't type it in here in the chat room. And I knew I could. So he's don't have it as a mod on the channel yet. So that's what's going on there. Anywho. All right, we've been on here for a little bit now. We've been on here for about an hour and a half in this video. And anybody got any questions for Doug before we go? Doug, and do you have any remarks you would like to make as closing remarks?
Yeah, guys, like I said in the opening of this video, this literally is the biggest story in the United States that no one is talking about. If you could share that hashtag, I'll put it in here again, or at least look up the hashtag ESG Blitz. My Linktree the link tree is associated with that hashtag. The videos are associated with that hashtag. So if you could, at the very least, look up that hashtag or share that hashtag, tell your friends, your family to watch the video. It's going to help out a lot. We need to get people awake to the realities that are going on. This is a war. You literally are under attack. And our part right now that we can play is to wake other people up. And that is what I am attempting to do right here. So if you could help me to share this information, I would really appreciate it, because truth is a weapon. It is a light in the darkness. And that is precisely what they're trying to do right now. They are trying to keep us in the dark. They do not want us to be aware of what is going on, because, like I said before, how many razor blade cuts does it take to bring the giant down? I don't want to be here to find out the answer to that question. Keep in mind, guys, blockades are an act of war. Sabotage is an act of war. Economic terrorism is an act of war. Market manipulation. We are being invaded at our southern border. If the acts of our current administration is not treason, then at the very least it is gross negligence. There are news organizations embedded with the people that are coming up here. They have shown, it is documented, that there are people from Arab nations that are on their way up here. Whether or not they're terrorists or whether or not they mean us harm, we don't know. But the fact that they, are from those Arab countries where a lot of our enemies reside should frighten you a lot. So, guys, just keep in mind we are in very, very serious times. There are some very big developments globally, geopolitically, that we need to be aware of, because if we are not, then we will be caught with our pants below our ankles and will not be ready for what happens when it happens. So, guys, please help me to get this information out if you can. I couldn't put the links in there, but Greg did, so please scroll up and check it out. I really appreciate you for letting me take the time to say hello to your audience, introduce myself, and share some of the knowledge that I have gleaned over the last few months regarding this issue. So thanks again for having me, Greg. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a guest. I hope we didn't get too far over on the thin ice for the platform.
That's where I tried to tread. So if you like hearing stuff that treads on thin ice, then by all means check out my YouTube channel, because I do tread on thin ice. I am not shy. So
we need to find some other channels and platforms to really tell people what we think on. I'm trying to use Lee Whitlockers, but my phone, I'm in the process of switching phones again.
Well, Greg, I got to try to convince you to get an Open BTS project going on. Open BTS would be a straight assault against the Nazis and their hegemony on internet and data networks. We'd be able to circle around them with that. Got to get your audience involved in a project like that. If you guys aren't aware of what Open BTS is, it's basically an open source GSM network that you can set up for very low cost, very low investment, and you would be able to take your old GSM phone, hook it up to an Open BTS system, and you'd get cell phone signal. You'd be able to use it for data transmission, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to talk Greg into getting involved with something like that, but probably don't have the capital to get something like that started. So that's my
problem.
That's where you guys would have to help us out.
Time and money.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm lucky to get. If I manage to get 4 hours sleep in the night, I'm getting it, man. That's awesome. But that's a mark. I have a hard time hitting that mark. It's usually much less. So and that's how busy I am. But I try to keep my followers informed. Everybody that follows my channel is known as swivel heads, because I know they keep their eyes wide open, head on a swivel, see what's coming. So they're good practice at that, man. We're trying to help them see these things. That's what we do here. Yeah. So a lot of this can be handled still. The people that we elect have got to respond at some point when they get mass amounts of people coming at them, or they know their elections at real risk if they keep doing the dumb things they're doing. And maybe we just need to vote the whole kit and caboodle out and start with a clean sheet. I like that idea. But think about this. What did Obama say? The price of energy shall necessarily go up. He said necessarily, and it did until we got the last president. Then it dropped, and as soon as they switched to the revolving door, whoop, back up again. It's amazing how that works. Amazing how that works. So we see energy prices spiraling up. It's going to hit everything. This is why y'all need to prep. It's why you need to get ready. That's why y'all need to check out on my other channel. I don't know if I'm bad about not posting notes on these live shows. I might get around to it tonight for this one, but check the show notes and pin notes on a lot of my the uploaded videos. You'll find there links to True Leaf Market where you can get seeds, because you need to garden, guys, and you may not be able to get them in springtime. We normally buy them where everything's going now. So I say get them while the getting's good, and check out the prepping supplies. Go to prepwithgreg.com, and that'll help both of us. You'll be better off, and you'll be set to feed your family. And it helps me in my channel and my efforts too. It does take a lot of time to do these videos. I could be doing other things that actually pay a lot better. Like working overtime in my day job, as long as they allow me to stay with it. So anyway, all right. I think we've said enough here. We really went into it. Let's see. New Day's always. Obama also said when the political winds change, he would stand with them. Oh, I am not going to repeat that. Some things we don't want to say here. Old as dirt. He also said that we in the USA needed to be like the third world country. Well, they're doing a good job of making us a third world country. This is hard and fast as they can go, right? But some people think that's social justice. That's what we need to be. We need to share the misery. I said we lift everybody up, not bring people down the lowest base. That's one of the reasons I've also designed a habitat home that you can live out of, make a living out of, grow all your food in, and live a high standard of living. And these things can be built cheaply, and everybody in the world can live in them, basically. And that would get rid of the all this stuff they claim they're trying to promote, getting rid of the carbon footprint. Houses actually consume more energy than anything else, and more so than cars. They put all this emphasis on cars. We could totally change the world in a very positive way and do it in an affordable way. And but the cool thing about this is it makes people independent. That's what they don't want. That's the last thing they want, because they're not really all about the things they tell us they're about. It's about control. It's about the new feudalistic order. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to rename that. Instead of NWO, it's going to be the NFO.
I think that is appropriate.
New feudalistic order.
Yeah,
that's what it really is.
It's accurate. It's accurate.
New feudalistic order. It's really a disorder, but yeah, or order like you're ordered. I think that's the kind of order it is. The demon Al Gore. Elton Butterfield. Kerry is a menace. Yeah, Kerry a menace. No kidding. Go back to living like the Daniel Boone. There you go, Chew Weather. Daniel Boone was a man, was a real man. I remember that tune. Fess Parker. Oh well, he was the Disney Daniel Boone. Disney Boone. All right, guys. I want to thank you, Doug, for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Greg.
Everybody go to his channels. Go to his channel, subscribe, bang the notification bell, click on, go to that BitChute link. I hope I still got a comment I didn't comment to. Let's see. Let me this is the BitChute link again. Check that out, guys. Go there. Oh, Rebel Rose just leaving. Oh, coming. I'm sorry, Rebel. We're about to end.
Yeah, I think we had like 20 people go to the link and check it out since you posted it. So
Awesome. Well, I hope your subscriber base goes up. I hope people are going over there and checking this.
Oh,
link out.
it did. Yeah, I had about 25 people subscribe since the show, so I really appreciate it. I do.
Very good, very good. So that should help you. And guys, we all got to stick together. We all got to be a family. We all got to stick together. We got rough times ahead, and it all works when we're linked arm in arm together in this thing, guys. Don't have to apologize, Rebel. I usually start my programs later. In fact, we had actually thought about starting this an hour later here so I could try to get another video up, but I didn't have time to do the other video tonight. That's what I've been wanting to do for days. And sometimes, guys, I got a lot of things to do. Like, if you notice, I went about 3 days and didn't post a single video. And, it really hurts too, because, I need what they generate to plow back into all this. Rainy Land says, Greg, I want to send you a video of a man surviving, if you don't mind. That's cool. That's good. Yeah, sure. All right. So I want to thank all you super chatters. You're awesome tonight. You really helped out a lot. I want to thank everybody who clicked that like button. Appreciate that. We got 3 thumbs down. Somebody ought to pipe up here in the chat room and tell us when you gave us a thumbs down. I want to thank, there were probably people associated with a UFO.
Yeah, they probably had a lot of stock in Tesla or something like that.
I don't mind Tesla too.
I don't either, and I'm not against the technology. It's just I'm against people sabotaging our infrastructure.
Bingo, exactly. Well, them lithium-ion batteries are a real hazard. I'll have to cover that on my Galactic Grace channel one of these days. Fortunately, they're coming up with solid-state batteries that'll be safer when they come out and more energy efficient and dense too. That'll be an interesting day when we get solid-state batteries out. Those lithium-ion batteries, they are a hazard, guys. All righty. So, again, I want to thank, like I said, the guys that gave us a thumbs up. I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat here. I want to thank, like I said, I thank the super chatters. I thank the mods. And I want to thank everybody for watching, for being here tonight. Susie Q, happy anniversary. Who's having an anniversary? Cowards will never say why they thumbs down. Very seldom. Very well, the cowards will, occasionally somebody might pipe in being unhappy, but most of them don't. Trolls, you got that right. Trolls, cowards. Let them come. Hey, come tell me what your problem is. Come to me. Anyway, let's see. Device for truth. Tesla now isn't Tesla then. Oh, well, whatever. Hey, like we said, we're not against Tesla, and I'm not against green energy.
No.
It's just don't force it on faster than it can provide. The people still need energy. All right, and we need affordable energy for Pete's sake.
That's right.
And we need affordable food, energy, and everything. But our inflation is about to just skyrocket. That's why to prep, guys. That's why to grow your own food, and that's why to learn how to live as much as you can off the grid. Prep, guys. Prep. Get ready. We're looking at this dark winter, and I'm really worried that China's got something up their sleeves. That was what my original wanted to do a video on tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna get to do it this week even. I actually want to do this video like from last week. I've had this intel I've been sitting on for a few days. I just hadn't had time to produce it. So hopefully it'll be out soon. Anyway, guys, y'all take care, everyone. And I'm going to end the session here. So I'm
all right, Greg. Thanks again. Good night, buddy.
Thank you. And thank everybody here, and everyone have an awesome